Oh, hi, I'm Steve, and I go here. You don't know where we are? Why, this is the University of Michigan. Yes, Michigan. You Mich. U of M. Well, you get the idea. With all of the best places, the best students, the fattest squirrels, and the best games. Yup, this is the place you want to be. Well, except there. Because if you step there before your first Blue Book exam... Oh no, she must not have seen where she was going. Wait a minute. Is that an iPhone? Man, oh man, these things are everywhere these days. In class, walking down the street, in the dining hall, on the bus, and even in, other places. Ew. How did we get to this? Well, Steve, who are you?
Why, I'm Dr. Bodge, and I'm here to help answer all of your questions.
Where are we?
Just back in your dorm room.
Oh, okay.
Now, Steve, before we get into the iPhone, I want to talk to you about another phone. A phone of the past, if you will. The BlackBerry. In 2010, nearly 40% of all smartphone users owned devices from BlackBerry maker RIM, or Research in Motion. The BlackBerry first appealed to the corporate and government world as people could securely access their email on their phones, and it appealed to teens for messaging, but BBM was not enough to hold on to the masses.
Oh my god, I BBM'd Greg last night and he totally didn't respond. What? I know, right? And BBM told me he read it. Ugh, boys are so annoying.
The BlackBerry also could not jump on the app train quickly enough, and fell behind. With Research in Motion facing financial issues and a weakened reputation since the release of the iPhone in the summer of 2007, RIM's share of the market fell to less than 20%, and it's unlikely to make a comeback. Oh well! With the introduction of a multi-touch screen interface, which was soon to become the industry standard, the iPhone was definitely one of the options that people switched to. We'll get to the other option later. But man oh man, the iPhone caught on like wildfire. The first iPhone sold 270,000 units in the first 2 days of sales, reaching 1 million sales in just 74 days. As of 2012, there were over 30 million iPhone users in the US alone. New versions of the iPhone are made every year or so, with the latest version released just this past September, the iPhone 5. Consumers have taken each iPhone release as a serious event, waiting hours and hours outside Apple stores leading up to the release, even if they didn't know what the big deal was.
It is kind of funny how people react when the new iPhone comes out. Some people actually get mad. Why would they make another product I desperately want to buy? Those bastards. It's almost as if the new iPhone somehow ruins the old iPhone, but it doesn't. It's all in your head. In fact, we set a camera out on the street today, and we told people outside to check out the new iPhone 5, which is unavailable so far. So in reality, what they were looking at is the current iPhone 4S that everyone has. And, well, here's how that experiment played out.
The new iPhone 5 just came out today, and we want to know if you'll take a look at it. Tell us how it compares to the last iPhone.
I'd love to. Oh, it's way better. Yeah, it's nice.
Sad, isn't it, Steve? Steve!
What? Oh, sorry, I was on my iPhone. Like, literally on my iPhone. I know, I'm just glued to it all the time.
Let's explore why.
People are usually using those phones to connect to other people, or at least to observe them in sites like Twitter and Facebook and things like that. So I think what happens is our main drive as human beings is to socially interact, and we can now do that with such an easy process through the iPhones that it becomes a little habitual to do, and can often happen even when there are other forms of interaction that could take place. But often those other forms of interaction are more costly than just observing something that occurs through the phone.
But Doc, that's true of any smartphone. Why the iPhone?
Because they're the best. I don't know. They're sleek. They're really fast. They're not too big. The iPhone 5 got bigger, but they're not too big. I have a Mac, and I also have, my dad has an iPod and an iPad, so all of our devices are interconnected, and it makes life easier.
Why did I get the iPhone? Because I'm really into design, and so I really appreciate the hardware design that went into making the iPhone.
The normal kind of thing that people often say is, well, it's really well designed, and it is very well designed, but it's honestly even more than that. I think it's been fantastically marketed. Apple's ability to sell things based on having them interoperate with other things, like the iPhone will smoothly work with the App Store, and that will smoothly work with the computer, and that will work with all of these different parts of your life. That emphasis on simplicity, and on the fact that it's very, at least at first, it was very visually distinctive, which made it into a status object. I think that really helped as well.
See, Doc, the iPhone is great.
Or is it, Steve?
Yeah, I don't like its closed proprietary nature. I'm an advocate of open systems and open source software, and the iOS is extremely closed.
It's unnecessary. Like, I don't need to be connected to everyone all the time.
They're too expensive, and Macs are not as reliable most of the time.
So you have a PC?
Yes.
Oh.
I would like to have more control over it. But that is the devil's bargain that you always have to strike with Apple. Like, they promise that everything will be easy and convenient and simple, but in return you will not be able to do a lot of things with it that you would otherwise be able to do. There's a lot of ways that I would like to be able to interact with it, or ways that I'd like to be able to completely switch off the signal so I could know that I could walk around without there being a record of it, that kind of paranoid thing.
Huh, I hadn't really thought about it that way.
And it's not like the iPhone is the only choice. There are other options, like the Android. Since Google released Android in 2008, Apple has faced some competition. Android phones caught on even faster than the iPhone did, and the Android operating system is growing at a rate of 886% per year.
My sense is that Android has an advantage in terms of innovation because its platform is a little more open, quite a bit more open than the iOS platform is. For people who like to tinker more, I think the Android makes more sense, but for people who just want the phone to work and they want it to be consistent, the Apple iOS and iPhone are really just super solid.
The iPhone still got it.
Maybe for now, Steve, but not for long. Certainly not forever.
Well, I'm sure it will. I mean, I think it's inevitable. Apple in many ways builds their business on being their own tough competition and constantly releasing new things that cannibalize the old things essentially before another company can. But I'm not sure how much longer they'll be able to sustain that particular dynamic.
It'll be interesting to see how they keep innovating. I think people were pretty disappointed in the iPhone 5 in terms of its innovative nature. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. What does that mean?
I think the phone itself will gradually dematerialize. The Google Glass thing, where it's interacting with the phone but it's projecting on screens at eye level, is clumsy, but I think it's a step in a direction in which almost any surface can become a data display surface, and almost anything that you can touch can become something that you can interact with to alter whatever you're seeing. So I think the process of actually looking at the phone will start to abstract out into the environment.
So stay tuned for our sequel. Takeover of the Android? Google Glasses? Or something else? Only time will tell.